So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to manage your HOA fee increases. So living in South Florida comes with many benefits, but unfortunately the past 2 to 3 years, it's come with many drawbacks. And some of those drawbacks have been increased in insurance costs, which in many cases for our associations have gone anywhere between 50 to 100+% increases. You have certain associations that are condo associations, 3 stories and above, that now require structural integrity reserves. So now there's those requirements as well. And then you've also seen the increases, whether it be in staffing, inflation costs, and so forth. So in this video, we're gonna talk about what you can do or what's worked for us to be able to communicate with regards to these HOA increases. Tip number 1 is to understand where the increases are coming from. So you want to be able to either have it on your budget or have it documented somewhere of what increases have you seen. So if you've seen insurance increases, what's been the percentage and what's been the amount? If you've seen increases in staff and personnel, because in order to keep the talent, you need to pay more. What are those increases? What are the amounts? You want to do this for each particular line item. Why do you want to do this? Number 2 falls right into it. It's so that you can communicate to the residents of why these increases are occurring. You can communicate it in multiple fashions. Number 1, through a newsletter, through a letter, a communication, or an email. But what I believe is important is for you to communicate to the residents early on of what's expected. That way the resident can do their part to be able to prepare. I always like to tell our board members that you want to put yourself in the shoes of a resident. I know board members are residents, but sometimes we forget that part because we have access to all the information. So it's important as board members as well as community association managers that when we know these increases are occurring, that we're sending communication to the residents of these increases and why they're occurring, and potentially what steps you may be doing to try to mitigate some of the increases if possible. The third and final tip is staying consistent with your collection process. Why do I bring this up during HOA increases? Is because in our experience, what we're starting to see is, especially in the condo associations, is we're starting to see an increase in the amount of residents going into collection. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but unfortunately, it's been too much for certain community associations that you've had insurance increases of 100+%. You've had reserve requirements in associations that have had no reserves for years, and now they're required. And you've had other expenses skyrocketing. So if you've done your part as a board of directors or as a management company to communicate these increases to the residents, it allows you to sleep at night. And it's unfortunate, but the reality of the situation is that as a board member or as a management company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the residents to be consistent within your process. And if you have the unfortunate circumstance where residents are on fixed incomes and they can't pay, it's important that you follow the collection process. Obviously, you can do your part if they can put together a payment plan, but always remember that whatever you do for one, you do have to do for all. In my experience, after going through what we saw in 2008, our experience showed us that if you were weak on the collection process, you found yourself in a bigger hole. So unfortunately, we have to use that experience as an experience for now to say that we must stay consistent with the collection process and advising the residents of what's occurring and what steps will occur if they decide not to pay. So those are 3 simple steps of how to manage the increases within your HOA or condo association. While I can appreciate it's not easy to deal with, it comes with lots of challenges. The way I like to communicate to our board members is that it's important to understand that from this darkness, there will be some light. The way I see it is now that associations start to have reserves, eventually, hopefully the insurance market starts to correct itself. The association will now find itself in a different financial position to be able to do what's necessary to allow the community to be well lived. Again, I can't stress how important it is to communicate, whether it be newsletters, town halls, but just keep your residents informed of these increases, and you'll find it to be just a tad a bit easier to manage this difficult situation. Remember, it's not you as a board member or as a manager that are forcing these increases, it's just what's going on with the general economy. If you'd like more tips or more suggestions on how to manage these difficult situations of increases and increased costs, I kindly ask you to reach out to us, managedbyaffinity.com, hit that contact us button, and one of our team members will reach out to you. Give us a like or a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in our next video.